Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. The biblical narrative tells us that, shortly after the flood, Noah and his 3 sons, along with their wives, were tasked with repopulating the world, which was devoid of inhabitants and humanity. Thus, Noah's 3 sons, along with their wives, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, filled the earth. In this video, I will discuss the origin of the Brazilian people and the country of Brazil, truly descendants of Noah. Stay tuned for more content from our series, The Origin of Peoples According to the Bible. Even before the arrival of colonizers, the Brazilian land was already inhabited by indigenous peoples. The biblical and genetic origins of these peoples trace back to Asia, specifically to Asian peoples whose ancestor is Togarma, the grandson of Japheth. However, some indigenous peoples exhibit traits indicating a likely ancient mixture with descendants of Ham. Therefore, biblically, indigenous peoples are descendants of Japheth through Togarma and, to a lesser extent, of Ham. It is estimated that around 7.6 million Brazilians are ethnically pure indigenous, while approximately 70 million have indigenous ancestry mixed with other ethnicities. This ancient intermingling, often forced but also frequently the result of loving relationships, contributed to Brazil's ethnic diversity. The second significant ethnic group in Brazil is undoubtedly the Portuguese. The Portuguese ethnicity, originating from Portugal, colonized Brazil, and everyone knows the history of this colonization. The Portuguese populated the Brazilian land with their descendants, so much so that many Brazilian surnames have Portuguese origins, such as Silva and Oliveira, among many others. Portuguese are predominantly a mixture of Japheth's descendants but also have a Semitic part due to the influence of Arabs and Sephardic Jews. Biblically, they primarily descend from Japheth, including ancient peoples like the Celts and Romans, as well as other European ethnicities. They also have Semitic descent through the Moorish Arabs, Sephardic Jews, and Berbers. It is believed that there are around 25 million direct and pure third-generation descendants, grandchildren and children of Portuguese, in Brazil. According to the IBGE, approximately 180 million Brazilians have Portuguese blood mixed with other ethnicities present in the country. The Spaniards also had a significant role in the colonization of Brazil, leaving many descendants. In fact, a large part of the Brazilian population has Spanish ancestry. Like the Portuguese, the Spaniards predominantly have Japhetic genetics, being descendants of Japheth, Noah's son. Upon arriving in Brazil, they were already mixed with Moorish Arabs and Sephardic Jews, resulting in a population mixed with Japhetic and Semitic elements. It's important to note that not all Spaniards and Portuguese have Arab or Jewish descent, but many do due to the historical context of the Iberian Peninsula, where there was Moorish influence. It is estimated that about 15 million Brazilians are direct descendants of Spaniards, and approximately 30 million have some Spanish ancestry. Brazil also has a significant European genetic heritage from Italians. It is estimated that there are about 30 million Brazilians who are direct descendants of Italians today, while approximately 40 million have some mixture with Italian descendants. Italians are a very interesting group, as they are descendants of Japheth, specifically from the ancient Romans, who were also descendants of Japheth through Tiras and other ancestors in that lineage. This means that many Brazilians have Italian ancestry and, consequently, are descendants of Japheth through Romans and Italians. One of the saddest contexts in Brazilian history is the slavery of African peoples. Brazil has a significant African genetic component, and Africans are part of the ethnicities that make up the country. They are one of the most visible and most mixed ethnicities in Brazil. According to the IBGE, about 19 million Brazilians are direct descendants of Africans and identify as black. It is believed that 68.8 million Brazilians have African ancestry mixed with other ethnicities, with the majority being pardos, who are often a blend of whites and blacks. This includes mulattoes, cafuzos, and other combinations. These 68.8 million Brazilians have genetics that descend from Ham, Noah's son. Another European people who left a significant genetic mark on Brazil were the Germans. About 5 million Brazilians have direct German ancestry, being descendants of Germans who migrated from Germany to Brazil. Biblically, these Germans are descendants of Japheth through his son Ashkenaz, considered the ancestor of all Germanic peoples, Vikings, Slavs, among others. Swiss people also contributed to genetic diversity in Brazil, with about 500,000 Brazilians being descendants of Swiss. Like the Germans, the Swiss are descendants of Japheth through Ashkenaz. Russians also left their mark on Brazil, with about 340,000 Brazilians directly descending from Russians or having genetic mixtures with them. Biblically, Russians are descendants of Meshech and Tubal, sons of Japheth, referred to as Gog and Magog in the book of Ezekiel. Therefore, Russians are also considered Japhetic, descendants of Japheth. Gypsies have always been a mysterious people to many nations around the world, and Brazil is no exception, harboring a large number of them. It is estimated that there are about 800,000 Gypsies in Brazil, according to some IBGE sources. Biblically, linguistically, and genetically, it is proven that Gypsies descend from populations in northern India. Additionally, they exhibit traits from the Middle East. Linguistically, they are essentially Indian, descending from North Indians with influences from some peoples of the Middle East. Biblically, they are believed to be descendants of Madai, son of Japheth, with minor genetic influences from Shem. Additionally, they have Hamitic genetic traits, which explains the darker skin of some of them. Another European people who left their mark on Brazil were the British. It is estimated that about 840,000 Brazilians are descendants of the British, who in turn are descendants of the ancient Celts mixed with Germanic peoples, specifically the descendants of Ashkenaz and Riphath. In addition to the British, the Dutch also significantly contributed to the formation of the Brazilian people. Approximately 1 million Brazilians have Dutch ancestry. The Dutch are of Japhetic European descent, originating from Ashkenaz, with mixtures of other descendants of Japheth. Currently, Europe faces a major war that has been ongoing for quite some time. Ukrainians, who also contributed to the genetics of the Brazilian people, number around 1 million in Brazil. The genetics of Ukrainians are basically similar to those of Russian people, descendants of Tubal and Meshech. Another Asian group that left its mark on Brazil is the Japanese, who have been present for a long time. It is estimated that currently around 1.5 million Brazilians are direct descendants of Japanese, who, biblically, descend from Togarma, Japheth's grandson. In addition to the Japanese, there is another Asian group in Brazil, the Chinese, whom many may not recognize as part of the population but who have a significant presence. It is estimated that 300,000 Brazilians have Chinese ancestry or are Chinese who migrated to Brazil over several generations. A European group that contributed to Brazil's genetic diversity is the Polish. Poles are also descendants of Japheth and have Ashkenazi heritage. It is estimated that approximately 1.8 million Brazilians have Polish ancestry. One of the most cited and mentioned Semitic peoples in the Bible is undoubtedly the Israelites, and Brazil also hosts a Jewish community of Semitic descent. It is estimated that around 400,000 Brazilians are of pure Jewish origin. However, due to ethnic mixtures with Portuguese and Spanish, and considering that around 180,000 Brazilians are direct descendants of Portuguese or have a strong Portuguese influence in their ancestry, it is estimated that around 70 million Brazilians have Jewish heritage mixed with their ethnicity or other ethnicities present in their DNA. In addition to Jews, there are other Semitic groups present in the genetic composition of Brazilians, such as Lebanese Arabs. It is estimated that approximately 7 million Brazilians are of Lebanese descent or have Lebanese genetic heritage. In addition to the Lebanese, who are Semitic descendants, we also have Syrians in Brazil, another Semitic people. It is estimated that around 4 million Brazilians are descendants of Syrians. I hope you all enjoyed this video from our series, which addresses the origin of all peoples according to the Bible, specifically Genesis chapter 10, and Jewish rabbinic and theological interpretations of the origin of all peoples. Feel free to share your opinions and suggestions for future videos in the series. God bless you all, and see you soon.